Hey there, I'm Brandon. This is Dirt Church Devotional. You know, last Sunday was Palm Sunday. The Sunday we celebrate Jesus riding into Jerusalem and clearing the temple and doing all sorts of great stuff. It kicks off Holy Week and leads up to next Sunday, which is Easter. And you know, this whole Palm Sunday or triumphal entry, it was pretty important to the church. I mean, it's recorded in all four Gospels, all four, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. They tell us that Jesus rode into town on a donkey and that the people were celebrating. They were yelling Hosanna, which means save. They were dancing and shouting and really irritating the religious elite and in danger of angering the Romans. And they were cutting palm branches down and throwing them down. They were throwing their cloaks down. They all tell us all this stuff, and it was great. In fact, they all tell us that Jesus cleared the temple too. But there's something about Luke's account. Luke records something that none of the rest of them do. Luke records that as Jesus was on his way and he's overlooking Jerusalem, he begins to weep. Now, I need to tell you, this is only the second time in the Gospels that it's said that Jesus wept. The first time was in John chapter 11, verse 35, where Jesus is at Lazarus' tomb. But the Greek word used there at Lazarus' tomb is a quiet weeping. The Greek word that Luke used as Jesus is approaching Jerusalem is a hard weeping, a bellowing, as we might say, a bawling. He is broken as he's heading down there in this celebration. And we might wonder why. And Jesus tells us why. As he's looking over Jerusalem, he says, "Oh, if you had only known." He says, and he tells them all this stuff that's going to happen, this bad stuff that's going to happen. The city's going to be destroyed. The temple's going to be destroyed. People are going to be destroyed. But here's what breaks his heart. He says, because you didn't recognize the time of God's coming to you. It's crazy because the people are jumping up and down. They're celebrating, they're singing, they're dancing, they're saying all the right things. In fact, they're fulfilling prophecy. But they didn't recognize the day of the Lord's coming to them. You see, they thought that the Messiah was going to come and beat up on Rome. They thought the Messiah was going to come and depose Caesar and put Israel back on top. And Jesus' plans was so much bigger. He wasn't going to come just to beat up on Rome. He was going to come to save Rome as well as save Israel. He was coming to beat up on the devil himself and destroy death and sin. And the people could have been celebrating the real thing, but instead they were just caught up in the noise. And it has me wondering, how many times do we go to church and we celebrate, we sing, we dance, we whatever, we sing the right songs, but we completely miss what God's trying to do? Well, if you've missed it in the past, there's good news, because we're told in Hebrews chapter 3. He says, look, if today you hear the Lord's voice, don't be stubborn like you did back in the rebellion. If today you hear his voice, reach out to him, accept him, receive him, and then you can really celebrate. Why don't you chew on that? We'll talk to you next time. Like, share, subscribe. You know the deal.